Got a new podcast for you over here at 104.5 ESPN. Hold that podcast. Going to be published weekly, Wednesdays, over at 1045ESPN.com. In-depth look at the LSU football team. Brody Miller, who's on the beat for The Athletic. T-Bob Hebert here, 7 to 9 a.m. Brody's going to be with us every Wednesday during the season, during this segment, talking LSU. Brody, good morning. How are you, man?
Good morning. I'm in a better mood now. The podcast got a plug by Jordy. I feel big time.
Okay, all right.
Chill.
I mean, that was really kind of sarcasm.
Jordy's not
we
that
got
big
a ton
time,
of podcasts. So this triple option, you dove into this Georgia Southern squad. What's the challenge this week for LSU?
I mean, obviously everyone knows the challenge of the triple option is mainly rooted in you just have to really change how you play defense, and that's no secret. I mean, all of a sudden you're going from everything LSU does with attacking and aggressiveness to you have to play just assignment-based football all game. You have to, one or two guys got the dive, one guy's got the quarterback, one guy's got the pitch man. And I think the challenge there is really just about being disciplined. Caleb Von Chasson actually talked about, he's like, the hardest part is getting bored. I think it's really easy to just you just want to make a play so bad, you just have to play this assignment football. But I think, this is a Georgia Southern team that they bring back 66 starts in the offensive line. They bring back, Shai Werts, their star quarterback and whatnot, good amount of talent at running back. And listen, I mean, LSU is 30 points better than Georgia Southern in a vacuum. But then you add in this funky offense. You add in the LSU, who knows how much they show on offense. They're probably going to go pretty vanilla. You add in, are people going to be sitting out this game, things like that. It always kind of becomes a little more interesting when you add all those factors. So this is an offense that can definitely give any defense a hard time.
Is 29 points too much for LSU to be favored this weekend?
Yeah, I've been getting so many texts about it. I mean, it's been interesting because the line's gone from 27 to 29.5, now back down to 28-ish. I feel like it's too much purely because, like we said, I imagine LSU is going to go pretty vanilla on offense. You obviously have a triple option team that's going to kill a lot of clock. I mean, in a vacuum, I think LSU would cover that if they were going all out. But I think I'd take the points there.
So a lot of people have asked me this. I'll pose it to you, Brody. What do you need to see out of LSU's offense to consider it a successful game one?
It's so hard because if they come out and really just don't show much, then how do you measure that? But I think the one thing you really
do you think can they afford though? Well, let's talk about that real quick. Can they afford to try to get cute and hold things close to the vest when they're trying to prove what this offense can be?
What's the alternative? Them lining up in too tight and running the I formation? I mean, they have to run what they've installed, right?
Yeah, I guess I am. And by the way, I'm just projecting, but my guess would be almost more of you show your stuff for a quarter or 2 quarters and try if you have a good lead. Yeah, I'm not saying you go Power I like Jordy was saying. No, I'm not saying that. But I just mean maybe you get a little more vanilla, you run it a bit more. Maybe you don't do some of the funky stuff you're excited about. But to answer your actual question, I think what you're looking for really is pretty simple. You just want to see how do Joe Burrow and those receivers look with this offense? Just is there a connection there? Are they making the right reads on these RPOs? I just think you really want to see if it just looks smooth. I'm not necessarily looking for massive numbers in a game like this. I'm not looking for anything like that. I just want to see, does it look like they're all on the same page and this actually works? Yeah,
I think I'm in agreement. It's weird to say, but it is almost like a feeling sort of thing, right? We've watched so many LSU offenses that just feel kind of janky or like a car where the engine's hiccuping and you're kind of you're kind of bumbling around. Let's maybe make it look like a sports car or like a dependable Altima or something along those lines.
They know what they're doing. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
So defensively, we know it's assignment football, Brody, as we said. But do you have a player or a position that you think kind of stands out above the rest in terms of trying to stop this Georgia Southern attack?
On LSU's defense?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say it would probably be. I think one thing they really like to do from what I was doing the story was, obviously they're going to try to beat with the dive and all that. They're going to do all that. But the one thing Bob Zabesi's really skilled at is that he's really good at kind of figuring out what you're doing early in the game. He's going to throw a lot of funky formations at you, and then he's going to try to figure out where he can outflank you on the edges based on how you're lining up on everything he's doing. So, I think he's going to try to get outside on you and break some big plays. people a lot of times think triple option. They think, just like efficient. But his offense is a little different. It's shotgun based, got some different angles, and they want to get some big plays on you. So I think with all that being said, I think safety is kind of the really interesting thing here because especially I think that's the one benefit LSU has is that, you can have these safeties that work as outside linebackers, which is perfect for a triple option because you can stop the run and kind of get your pitch man, all those kind of things, but still kind of protect the edges and get a little more versatility to protect that edge. So my long-winded answer is I think your Jacoby Stevens and Grant Delpitz are probably the most important players here because, you feel pretty confident that your D-lines can be able to stop the dive there, and you feel relatively confident that your Kayvon Chassons and whoever else you line up on the outside can probably handle the pitch man and the quarterback and things like that. But I'm curious how they can do on stopping those big plays, and I think that comes down to the safeties.
Yeah, and it all starts with stopping the dive, which starts with the D-line. And I was a bit surprised when that first depth chart came out, Brody, that Breidon Fehoko not listed with the ones. What do you make of that? What does that mean? Does it mean anything?
It's a really good question. I've been trying to get an answer on that as well, and I'm not too sure. I think at the end of the day, they've been saying since even last season, especially all spring and fall, that they view that as we have 3 starters at defensive end for those 2 spots, and it's going to rotate. So at the end of the day, it's all semantics, but still, I'm with you. I'm definitely surprised Glenn Logan takes that over Breidon Fehoko. Maybe if you're splitting hairs, it came down to, hey, Breidon Fehoko missed a ton of time, Glenn Logan played all season. Maybe it comes down to something like that. But it's genuinely worth following if there's something going on there. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I guess just because I expected Fehoko to be dominant back at DN this year, so maybe it's a really good sign for Glenn Logan. But as you said, all 3 are going to play. What was you got any idea on what was the deal with moving Divinity back to the outside to get a little practice earlier this week?
I'd say 2 things there. I think last season the number one lesson I had to learn in my first year on this beat is stop making a big deal about where somebody lines up in individual drills.
Yeah,
I think there were so many times I'd be like, what's this guy doing there? And then the next day you would never see him there again. But I also think, I wonder, kind of going back to, this triple option, things like that, I wonder if maybe that's something just for week 1, you actually kind of want Divinity and Chasson on both ends. So, I imagine those 2 outside linebackers will have the quarterback most often, right? I'm curious if maybe that's kind of, hey, we want our 2 best guys on the outside, and then maybe you go with a Queen, Clark, and Phillips kind of combination in the inside.
Brody Miller joining us here every Wednesday from The Athletic, right here on ESPN, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Alexandria. Brody, Derek Stingley Jr., what do you anticipate from him in Game 1?
Well, considering purely that I don't think anybody's particularly scared of Georgia Southern's passing attack, I imagine he'll do just fine. But it kind of goes back to Grant Delpit was kind of being honest with us. It's like the hard part is you're thinking run, and then they just might trick you with a pass when you're sleeping. So
yeah,
I think you got to be careful there. But I'm really interested to watch him and Fulton both at those corner spots, considering the quarterback will have to tackle quite a bit in this game. And Derek Stingley and Christian Fulton both are not exactly your old school kind of thin corners. They're both pretty built guys who can definitely tackle, in my opinion. So yeah, I think you'll see Derek Stingley just kind of. I think success for him is just not being in the game in reality, and because he probably won't be attacked often. I think Texas will be the first time we'll really see if he's ready for top level football.
Hold That podcast every Wednesday, published at 1045ESPN.com. Thank you, Brody.
Thanks for having me.